Welcome back to the Contemporary Crusader. Today we're going to be talking about my 4 must-have guns. Alright, so I was thinking about it, and obviously I have more than 4 guns, but I was thinking if I could only have 4 guns, which do I think I would keep? So I kind of narrowed it down to the 4, and I think this is a pretty good list of, at least for me and my situation, what I would keep if I had to for some stupid reason, had to give up the rest of my collection. These are the 4 that I find to be most important to in most situations that I'd have to. So first, handgun. You know, it's kind of, for me, what went into the consideration for this was something that I could carry, but something that's also, you know, like a duty style handgun. Reliability is there, the parts commonality, all that. So what I decided was my Glock 45, G45, not a 45 cal. So my G45 has the Radiant Comp, Aimpoint Acro, stipple job by me, Agency Magwell, and Haley Strategic Trigger, Surefire X300. So why this gun? Now, this list isn't necessarily brand or manufacturer or model specific. It's kind of just a concept, you know, what type of handgun would I want to have? And that's the reason I went with the Glock, was just because it's not super heavy, so I can conceal carry it. I'm comfortable with it pretty much in any situation. I carried a G45 as a duty gun. I'm very comfortable with it. So it really, all that kind of went into consideration. You could insert another polymer striker fired pistol. You know, there's numerous versions or brands that you could go to, but this one I chose just because I have it. It's one of the guns I have. It's one of the guns in my carry rotation, and I shoot it quite a bit. So not necessarily brand specific or model specific, but it is the type of handgun. So this, I kind of was debating between this and my Staccato P, and as much as I love my Staccato P, the reason I didn't go with that was just because of the weight and parts commonality. It's a little bit more, it requires a little bit more upkeep with, you know, just servicing and cleaning and all that. So the Glock is a little bit more forgiving in that aspect, and I shoot it almost as good as I do my Staccato. Not saying it's just as good of a shooter as a Staccato. I'm not saying that at all. It's just I am as comfortable with it as I am with my Staccato. I might be a little faster with the Staccato, manage the recoil maybe a little bit better, but with the Radiant Comp, I mean, you know, it's 9mm, I get it, but the comp does help quite a bit with that. So that's kind of, when I was thinking about this list, I'm thinking about, okay, my situation. I live in the mountain timber of Montana, fairly rural area. There's a lot of wildlife I have to deal with. So 9mm is not really going to do it for that. I considered making my 10 mil, which is my bear gun, because there's quite a few grizzlies on our property, and we catch them on the trail cams all the time, and some big ones. I'm always kind of expecting to see one in the background while I'm filming, but let's hope that doesn't happen. It'd be good for it'd go viral, but it wouldn't be necessarily good for me. So I considered the 10 mil. I considered something else that could take on a bear, or at least have a better chance of taking on a bear. But at the end of the day, it's just I'm not as comfortable with it. I'm not as you know, I carry it in the woods and that's about it. So I wanted something that has, you know, the parts are everywhere, the caliber, the ammunition's everywhere, long-lasting service life on most of the parts and everything. So, and it's not too heavy to where if I'm concealed carrying it all day, it bothers me. So that is why I went with the Glock G45. There's other guns that I definitely considered, but you know, that was what I went with. So the next thing, which the first two guns, in my opinion, are the most important, and then the other ones are just, you know, good to have in most situations. But the second, which I think is important for everyone in the United States to have, is some variant of a fighting carbine. You know, I prefer AR-15s. I know other people have different, you know, AKs, MCX, whatever, you know, the proprietary stuff. I like ARs for the most part. You know, it goes back to the same thing I said with the handgun, parts commonality. The ammunition is plentiful, the magazines are plentiful, so it's just easier to find replacement parts for this. And it serves quite a bit. You know, it's not great at everything as a general purpose rifle, but it's pretty good at most things. I feel comfortable out to 500-600 yards with it. My standard ammo that I have my dope on and that I have loaded up and everything are 77 grain Sierra Match Kings. So it's pretty capable. This is the Geissele URGI. I did the video on this, whole video on this gun, so you can go watch that on the channel. But some version of an AR-15 or a fighting carbine general purpose rifle would be my preference. Obviously, something with magnification. You have the red dot on the top for closer engagements. Suppressor if you need to be a little bit more, you know, reduce your signature a little bit. Bipod suppressor comes off on and off easily. I have some spare parts in the grip. I have spare batteries in the stock, so it's a little bit beefy. But this is this and the Glock, or the handgun rather, are, in my opinion, the two most important guns that everybody should have. And it kind of covers a lot of situations. You could take a smaller game with 5.56. You can definitely shoot deer with it. Obviously, there's, you know, it's not always preferred, you know, for ethical hunting, but it definitely does the job if you need to, especially depending on your shot placement. I know plenty of people that use their ARs 5.56 for hunting all the time, and it does just fine. So yeah, is there a chance that it's not going to do the damage? There's a chance, but it's, you know, same thing with a human. Shot placement has a lot to do with it, and everything's kind of circumstantial. So you can use it for, I would say, up to deer hunting. You could use it for smaller stuff. And it's kind of that well, obviously it's a general purpose rifle, but it covers most of the basis of what needing a gun. I can go, you know, I can get in a gunfight with it. I can go out to a little bit more distance. So it covers most of the bases. Now, if I'm doing like all CQB stuff, yeah, I prefer SBRs. But if I have to bridge that gap between CQB and longer engagements, then I'm going to go with a longer 14.5 barrel in this instance. So I think 14.5 is a pretty good, you know, baseline. It's kind of the middle of the road as far as velocity, but it's not, you know, where you're getting such a diminishing velocity like with a 10-inch barrel, where depending on the ammo and depending on the distance, then you're not necessarily going to be as effective with a longer barrel. So that's the two most important, the Glock 45 in my situation, the URGI for my other choice. And then going beyond that, it kind of goes into a little bit more of the survival aspect. So if I was just making a list of the like 4 or 5 guns that I want, that I would keep because I just love them, I would go, you know, my third gun would definitely be a precision rifle, something that's like more enjoyable to shoot, but also I could use it, you know, for longer range engagements. But the reason I didn't go with my precision bolt gun, my 308, is just because of I wanted something, especially being in Montana, that if I was in a you know, kind of a crap hits the fan situation or end of the world, whatever, I have something that can take large game. So my third gun is my hunting rifle. So this is a Tikka T3X in 300 Win Mag. It is customized quite a bit. So replace the stock on there, carbon fiber stock, proof research rather, barrel, 24-inch barrel. The Cerakote barrel install and all this was done by GCP Rifle Co. in Florida. They do a great job on precision guns. Beautiful Cerakote job. You know, they just do a great job all around. So the beyond that, Area 14, 419 rather, muzzle device. And this is a little beefy and it's super loud if you don't have Hearing Pro on. But it reduces the recoil significantly, especially how light this rifle is. It's like, I think it's under 9 pounds fully loaded with bipod, scope, and everything. So it's very, you know, it's a pretty stout round and it's a very light gun. So I wanted something that could reduce the recoil as much for follow-up shots if I have to take a follow-up shot or whatever. Eventually I'm going to get, I have 30 cal suppressors I could run on this, but I want something a little shorter. I've been looking at a couple different options, but eventually I will suppress it with a lightweight, shorter suppressor, and that will just stay on this all the time. The bipod is carbon fiber as well from Mountain Gear. It's very lightweight. It's pretty cool how it works here. You can spread it out. It goes in all different angles. If you're on a rock or something, you can push this and it spreads out. And I'm not going to get to focus because it's so narrow there, but and then it extends out pretty far. So it's super lightweight. It's a nice hunting bipod for sure, especially if you're in kind of a position where you need to see over grass or anything like this. This bipod gets really high. So and it's super lightweight. It comes off very easily. So if I need to throw it in my pack, then I can just take that off and throw it in the bag. And then I have the Arca Picatinny rail on the bottom, so if I want to mount it on a tripod, and some other things. I changed out the bolt, carbon fiber bolt knob, a little bit more lightweight. Leupold VX5 HD. Now the only thing I'll say, if this was going to be like if I didn't have my other precision guns and this was going to be used for beyond just hunting for whatever reason, I would put a different reticle. I would put a scope on there with a different reticle. This just has a duplex with the fire dot. So there's no data you can get from the reticle, which I'm not a big fan of. I wish that Leupold made some kind of mill reticle, or I think they do, but I forgot why I didn't get it. But anyway, I wish I would have, or gotten another brand. I'm just such a big fan of Leupold's glass and for the price and everything. But I would have definitely gotten something with a mill reticle instead of the duplex. Just so if I'm using it, you know, I don't have my binos that have my rangefinder on it or whatever, then I can still gather some data just based off the reticle. So that's my only, the only downside of this setup. And I probably, if I was going to, this was a real situation where I had to take 4 guns, I would take my Mark V HD off my precision bolt gun and I would put it on this. And that's what I would run on this. And then finally, this is, you know, shotguns are not, I'm not a huge shotgun guy. Like, they're not something that I shoot often, but I carry this in my truck pretty much full time, especially on the property with the potential of grizzlies. I always have it loaded up with slugs here, rifled slugs. But I do this, the Beretta 1301 kind of changed my mindset on shotguns. I was never really a big fan, and I love this shotgun. The recoil, I wouldn't say it's like a light recoiling gun, but it absorbs the recoil well, more than like a pump shotgun. It's a very fast, it has their blink, I think it's called the blink system or blink recoil, whatever. It's called blink, and it's their gas system and how it all works. It's extremely fast. So a lot of shotguns, you can kind of, you talk to like competition shooters, they can outrun their shotguns. I'm not really that good with a shotgun, but the action isn't cycling quick enough, so they're actually being slowed down and they're shooting by the action. You can't, well, I can't outrun this. Maybe some people can, but it's extremely effective. It's lightweight. It's just comfortable. I have the Magpul furniture on here. This is not the Langdon 1301. When I bought it, I'm like, well, I don't know if I really like the Magpul furniture, so I bought a regular 1301. My buddy had a Langdon 1301, and I was like, oh man, this feels great. So I ended up throwing the furniture on there. So it's not a true Langdon, but it is very similar. It just doesn't have the trigger job. But it's just a great shotgun. It's super durable, very reliable. I've only had one malfunction, and it actually happened today when I was filming this. There was when it was trying to feed the next round, basically from the tube, 2 shells popped into the chamber, and then it got caught up on that. So I've never had that issue before. I don't know if something just got knocked loose there. Hopefully it's not a recurring issue. But I have several, I don't know, maybe hundreds of rounds on it. It's not like a crazy amount, but hundreds of rounds for a shotgun. A decent test, not test, but I have a good feel of how reliable it is and how it all works. And I've been very happy with it. Just to talk about it a little bit, I have Surefire Scout Light, the mini turbo on there, which is awesome. Now this right here, you can see it has the tube, and then it has this shroud that goes over, and then it has the barrel clamp. So the one that comes from Beretta is a plastic shroud that goes over the tube, and then it's a plastic barrel clamp with the M-LOK and like a sling swivel slot. That is my biggest gripe with the 1301 is that system, because when you mount a light to it, under recoil, that barrel clamp slides all over the place and then ends up going into the front sight and getting, it stops on the front sight, but it gouged out my old, gouged out the old clamp and stuff. So anyway, it was just a bad system. I just got this from GG&G, and you can see it's recessed right here. So it actually, the clamp goes into that groove, and it's aluminum. Both are aluminum instead of plastic. It goes into that recess, so it has nowhere to go. It can't, it would have to like gouge out that recess, which is highly unlikely. So this is a much better system, especially if you're mounting your light to it. I didn't really want the light on the handguard just because now you're projecting to the side of the tube and the barrel and casting a shadow, and then I wanted my pressure switch there as well. So I wanted it farther up, almost flush with the barrel, but with that old clamp, it made it very difficult to do that. So at any rate, this kind of fixed that issue. I have the S-Tech saddle on the side. I have the, I think they're called Match Saver. This one's from Breely Tactical, and it just mounts to the M-LOK here. T1 on there, Aimpoint T1, and Ferro Concept sling, which is my favorite sling on the market. So that's that. Those are the 4 guns. Now this is not a definitive list. This is just kind of, today I was thinking, oh, what can I make a video on? Oh, let's talk about if I could only have 4 guns from the collection that I have. And I'm not taking into account collectability. I'm not taking into account like how special a gun is that I own or anything like that. This was just in my situation in Montana. If I could only have 4 guns and I needed to kind of cover all my bases, this would do it. So of course I'd like to have a dedicated precision rifle that was like, 308 or something like that, that was meant for, more of a combat role. But the 300 Win Mag, you can reach out and touch somebody, obviously way more than 308, has a lot of energy. The only downside, it's not suppressed right now, but I will. I just wanted, like I said, I just wanted to get a shorter suppressor because I have a Nomad L, and on it just makes it super long. So I'll get a shorter suppressor, lightweight one here soon. Throw that on there, and then this will be my kind of definitive list. Alrighty, so that's the 4 guns that I would grab out of what I own if I could only keep 4. Like I said before, this is not a likely situation. I'm not giving up any of my guns for anybody for any reason unless I'm selling it on my own accord or whatever, or giving it away to a family member, friend, my kid, whatever, when he gets old enough. But there's very few circumstances that I would ever get rid of guns that I own. But I thought it'd be an interesting video if I can only have 4 out of the guns that I own. These are the 4. Of course, there's guns that I like more, guns that I enjoy shooting more, guns that are whatever. But this was just more or less a kind of a thought experiment of, for my situation, living here in Montana, what covers most the basis for what I would need. Like I said before, also the 2 most important things, 2 most important guns in this list, I think, are a handgun and an AR. If you don't own a handgun or an AR and you are wanting to defend yourself, protect yourself, or prepare for whatever reason, you need to start saving up and work towards that or whatever. Put some money aside, get a handgun, get an AR. They are very important to have, especially in today's day and age. You don't know what's going to happen in the world, and those will cover most of the basis when it comes to defending yourself, your family, and your country. Now, the other guns are more for survival, especially the hunting rifle. You know, if the supply chain gets shut down or whatever, I need food, I need to feed my family. I want something that can take down bigger animal. Here in Montana, we have elk. There is some moose around here, not a lot, but they are here. Grizzlies, black bears. So a lot of game that would require something a little bit more than a 308 or a 5.56 or whatever. So that's why I went the 300 Win Mag. I think that's important to have. It's definitely important to have something to provide. But like I said, the most important is you got to get a handgun, you got to get an AR, and you got to get with the time. So that's pretty much all I have today. So if you guys like the video, you like what you're seeing on the channel, please like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. If you have any suggestions on other videos, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'm making a list. I have had some suggestions, and they will eventually get done. And then also put in the comments what you think your top 4 guns would be if you could only have 4. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Until next time, stay safe.